My question is, how did you go from this is someone that you would dog to marrying them? I feel like that's a pretty big jump.
Damn. Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Rose. You can find me at Oh It's Rose, where the flowers bloom, okay? Because here it's all about growth. I recently started this new show. It's called Black Love and it's on OWN. And I love the concept of it. I love showcasing Black love, Black stories. I love that. However, I was watching some of them and I was like, oh, you guys are married now. So it worked out, but there's some things that really caught my eye. I'm going to be talking about Ashley and Darroll in this episode specifically. There were other stories where I was like, as well, but this is the one that I really want to touch on. Let me play a clip.
We were 22 and 23. He basically had moved to LA with his ex. Unbeknownst to me, we're meeting and flirting. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is dealing with his ex every day.
What I'm curious to know, which is kind of a side note, when did she find out? It's one thing to be transparent and say, hey, I'm talking to other people, but it's another thing to be transparent saying, hey, I'm actually living with my ex. Maybe some people might not see a difference, but that's definitely a big game changer. If you're looking for a relationship, like a serious relationship, and the person's still living with their ex, I don't know about that one. Anyways, let's dive a little bit deeper into their story.
Yeah, so of course he was like, nah, I want to play the field. I want to try to, whatever.
I'm not sure at the time if she was looking for a serious relationship, so I'm not going to assume that, but I'm speaking in a general sense. If you're someone who's looking for something serious and somebody's telling you that they want to play the field, please do not waste your time.
Yeah. So it was 5 years of us like seeing each other. We would be at mutual friends' houses or hang out here and there, but it wasn't
for 5 years.
We weren't like
nothing was established.
We weren't going on dates.
It was very casual. Like,
yeah.
There was
he would just like hit me up after a late night out and be like, "Are you and like an idiot?" I'd be like, "Yeah, come by." Like, so silly. And he would, wake up the next morning, bye, and
we wouldn't talk for
a couple weeks or something like. I would be mad about something. He would be MIA.
Wow. 5 years of late night calls, then not hearing from them for 2 weeks, not hearing from him for 2-3 weeks, and then the cycle repeating itself. See, this is another thing. When a guy knows that they can get away with treating you like this, they will keep doing it. Oh, okay, so I called this girl, late at night. She answered, and we had a good time. I don't even have to keep up with her for a couple weeks, and I could just hit her up whenever, and we could do this all over again. That's just a cycle in 5 years. Do you guys realize how long 5 years is? 5 years of your life? 5 years of your youth? 5 years of your life engaging in this. I spent about around a year in toxicity, and I was already like, dang, I wasted so much time. So imagine 5 years. When people are in tricky situations like this, living with their ex, all this stuff, it's just best to walk away. It's best to not even engage, because that situation is just going to be messy by default. There's no way to have a clean break, a clean slate with somebody, and they're living with their ex. That's too complicated.
I think the term situationship is so appropriate.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
And
also, I think a huge part of the story is that we met at 22 and 23, but we're getting older. So like the kind of like games and like I see him, one day, don't talk to him for a couple of weeks, whatever. That was cool for a little bit.
I don't think it's healthy at all for somebody to be in and out of your life.
But then now I'm like 25, 26. I want someone that's like, a constant part of my life.
If they start out in and out of your life, 9 times out of 10, that's just what's going to continue.
We're growing in how we feel about each other. We've obviously gotten to know each other now over 5 years, but what do we have to show for it?
So I'm glad it seems like everything worked out for them and they're married and stuff. That's great. However, this is not, I would not say that this is the norm at all. Like, if somebody is starting off already flaky, that's just going to manifest itself into the relationship in some type of way. Whether it's like, okay, they're there physically, but emotionally it's on and off, things like that. It doesn't always have to be physically in and out of your life. It could be emotionally distant at times, then all over you. There are so many ways that in and out can look like, but what I've noticed is that people that are in and out tend to continue to be in and out in some way.
It's kind of like, okay, but you're still like a random person in my life, technically.
That's a major red flag. Still a random person in your life.
And the older I got, the less space I had for that.
I have to ask, what made you kind of endure that for 5 years, right? Like, what was your thought process about him throughout the 5 years? Was it that you were waiting on him to choose you? Were you waiting on him to finally settle down? I do have questions about, like, what was the thought process behind that, for sure.
I was always open and honest with her, and I never tried to pull the wool over her eyes and was like, I'm not talking to nobody, it's just me and you.
When a guy is being honest like that is honestly the dream scenario. To have a guy tell you to his face exactly how he feels about you and exactly what he's up to, that's amazing. Because guess what? Now that you have that information, the boat is in your hands. The boat is in your hands. He's told you how he feels. You can act accordingly. So if he told you after all the time that you guys have had spent together, because this is 5 years. So after like a while, he's known you, he's gotten to know you after a while, and he's still deciding to pursue other options. What does that say about how he views you? I believe that a man who has gotten to know you and claims to have feelings for you and all these things, after knowing you for a while, if they still do not want to commit, I think it shows that they either have things that they need to work on themselves, which in that case, it wouldn't even be really worth it for you to be in that relationship, because you're going to get sucked into whatever he needs to work on. And also that he doesn't want to be with you as much as you want to be with him. And he doesn't want you enough to choose you and to settle down. Because one thing that I've seen a man who is very indecisive and doesn't know what he wants and wants to play the field and is not sure about you because they don't really like you like that. And I've seen a man who's very decisive, who's like, you're the one that I want, and I'm going to do what I need to do to make this work with you. So I've seen both sides of the spectrum. So it's like, if they've got to know you and they're still like, I want to play the field, that says a lot about how they feel. And if you decide to stay and still pursue that or still be open to him, that also says quite a bit about you. All of this is from experience. That's why when I watch these stories, when I hear these things, I'm not even like shocked. I'm not quick to judge anybody, because I know the things that can happen for you to be in that mindset to want to stay with someone. I know. And I talk about this in another video, so I'll probably try to link that somewhere whenever I get around to editing it. Ooh.
But I also was like, don't wait for me. If somebody is treating you the way that you want to be treated, by all means, go explore that. Hopefully you're around like when I am ready. But if you aren't, then I got to deal with that. But I'm willing to take that chance, because I know that if I get into a relationship with you right now, I'm just going to dog you.
I know if I get into a relationship with you right now, I'm just going to dog you. So my question is, how did you go from this is someone that you would dog to marrying them? I feel like that's a pretty big jump. I feel like generally when you have categorized someone in that way, like, oh, I'm a dog them or whatever it is, like, how do they now get into that category of where you see them as a wife? That's my question. That's a really big jump. But it seems like they're together, so I guess it works out. This is not the rule. It may have worked out in this situation, but this is not the rule. At least in my opinion, this isn't the rule for a very stable and healthy relationship from the jump. You know what I mean? Because I know there are couples that go through a lot of toxicity, but they bear through it. They do the work that they need to, and it's hard and it's difficult, and there are a lot of arguments, but they somehow make it, and then, things get good. But y'all, really? Like, when you think about it, even when they tell you about those relationships, there are times where they're like, yo, I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. Sure, it worked out and I'm happy now and things are good, but I wouldn't recommend that to anyone. And I'm really in the place where I'm not trying to be fighting you. I'm not trying to be having arguments all the time, trying to make things work. No. And when I say this, I'm not talking about the regular arguments and things like that happen within stable, healthy relationships. I'm talking about where there is constant arguing, constant fighting, you're not on the same page about major things in life. Like, there should have never been a relationship. There should have never been a relationship in the first place if that's the case. So that's why, like I said, in order to mitigate that risk and in order to make sure that we are on the same page about the big things before it even goes any further, is having those conversations and really getting to know that person.
In retrospect, I really appreciate that. Who wants to be with someone that's not ready? Who wants to have to give someone ultimatums, which I never did either.
I think when he said that he wasn't ready, I really think that she probably should have walked away. In my opinion, if someone's telling you that they're not ready, in my opinion, you shouldn't wait. You should not wait for them, because this is your life too. With Ashley and Darroll, it really seems like Ashley is more invested than him. Like, even throughout the interview, like, also, can we talk about how he's sitting? Like, why is he sitting like this? Why is he sitting like this? Maybe that's not important, but like, when I was watching, I was like, why is he like that? And like, she's kind of on him, and I don't know. That maybe that's just nitpicking, but like, he's literally like, should I draw a line? Because it's just going like, I don't know. Anyways, that's all I'm going to review for today. I just saw part 2, so I'm going to watch that. Let me know if you want me to share my thoughts on that as well. Honestly, I think 5 years is a lot of time to be going back and forth with somebody. And it worked out for them in the end, but I would not encourage anyone to take that risk, because that's a huge part of your life that you could have spent with somebody who is on the same page as you and wants you as much as you want them, and sees your value and sees your worth right then and there. It could have also just been you navigating through life, living your best life, you learning more about yourself and figuring those things out. The whole back and forth that they went through, and he was still with his ex, and he explicitly told her, like, I'm still talking to other people despite X, he probably didn't say it like that, but despite X amount of months that I've known you, I still want to play the field. I wonder what changed. Like, what did he realize which made him say, okay, I want to marry you now, right? Where was the shift? And I'm not sure if those parts were cut, but that's definitely what I would want to know more about. Anyways, that's it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if I should do a series on this, because I love the stories. Honestly, I heard some very beautiful stories, of course, but then I also heard some things that were, I was like a little bit concerned. But look, it all worked out because they're all married. So what can I really say?
Damn. Yeah.